Hi Amanda, my name is Millie Smart and I am the book lady for Sunday night. I am so excited to introduce you to some of these books, so I'm going to go through quickly some of the things that we keep around our house for the ages and interests of the children in your life. Last 13 is a book that I have started to read. It's a nonfiction book that's also compared to the Hunger Games. It's for 12 and up. It comes with 13 books in the series, and you start with book 13. It starts out with the character waking up and having to find out how to get back from a life that he thought he was living, and it's a lot like Hunger Games, and I'll just read you the back of the book. It kind of explains it a little bit better. It says, "I click my fingers and everybody dies. Sam wakes up from his nightmare to discover the terrifying reality. It will come true. Kidnapped from school and finding out his parents aren't who he thinks they are, Sam is suddenly running from danger at every turn. Nothing will ever be the same." This is definitely a bestseller for us. It's a page turner for myself, so I would highly recommend The Last 13. A series of books that I fell in love with, and the reason why I joined Usborne was because of our nonfiction titles. I have a 3-year-old, and teaching some of these concepts such as numbers, shapes, colors, all those things, I'm not a teacher by any means, so these resources have been a lifesaver and have totally changed the way my daughter is comprehending some of those early topics. I especially like the numbers book for the 2.5-year-old range. So what your child's going to find is they're going to start with the first page, just goes through the numbers, and they are lifting the flap and seeing one car. And so there's lots of repetition just on this early page. This is the simplest page. Progressively with each turn of the page, it gets a little harder. So on this page, they're going to find how many elephants are in the zoo, and then they'll find that there's one, and then they will see the number 1 behind the flap. It has changed the way my daughter looks at numbers. She loves this book. It's like a game to her, and we are having a blast going through this book together. So I highly recommend the numbers, shapes, opposites. We have tons of titles within the Lift to Flap series. I can't say enough about those. For the animal lovers and your little girls, my daughter loves animals as well. All Better is a must-have. Usborne is known for All Better. It's our best-selling book. It comes with 5 reusable Band-Aids, which I love because stickers just do not last around my house. Your daughter is going to take the little reusable Band-Aid and put a Band-Aid on each animal throughout this book, and each time they're going to clean it, kiss it, and put a Band-Aid on it. So there's repetition there. They're also going to be learning excuse me, some character building and empathy skills, so I really like that. And also they're going to be working on matching. When they take the Band-Aid, they match it up at the beginning of the book, and if ever they lose their stickiness, you run it under soap and water and they are good to go. So All Better. I love B is for Bedtime. It's a great bedtime story. We always have a story before we go to bed, and this one in particular has just been phenomenal. It's a soothing story. It's simple. There's not a lot of high contrast. There's not a lot of high contrast or vibrant colors popping out at your child to keep them stimulated. So it's a soothing book, and it goes through the alphabet. And each letter, they're going to be introduced to something within the page. So B is for Book with my dad. It's a winner. It's just a great way to hold me accountable also for getting her alphabet letters in front of her every night. And I can see a difference already in her alphabet retention and being able to recall them. So I highly recommend B is for Bedtime. I also absolutely love Muddle and Match. My daughter loves it. It's kind of like paper dolls, except for they get to flip the flaps back and forth and change the story and the dolls' dresses. We also have lots of other topics within this series of books. We've got jobs, adventures, monsters. So I would look at those other topics as well, but my daughter loves the Imagine one, and the alliteration within this story is so much fun to read with her. Petulia, the pretty and pink princess, flaps her fabulous fairy wings and flies to find her forest fairy friends. So it's so much fun. She enjoys it so much when we change the story around, and it's just a fun way to put put a book in front of her and she enjoys flipping it as well as my son. So I highly recommend that book. Though that's not my series, also would be great for 2.5-year-old. We have Everything Under the Sun for any interest. And my daughter loves it. I have 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds that still love the That's Not My series just because it's such a simple book and they can read it themselves. And there's just something about the touchy-feely books that really keep the young kiddos engaged. So I highly recommend the That's Not My series. Also, another great book that gets your child thinking about the future and possibly, you know, some jobs or careers that they might like to have. I know my daughter's constantly asking me, you know, telling me she wants to do this, she wants to do that. So this book talks about what they can be when they grow up, and it's called I Want to Be a Lion Tamer, or a Vet, or a Zookeeper, or a Safari Guide. So it's kind of fun to go through all of the jobs, and it doesn't really, it keeps the job super interesting. Like the way they describe it is just so fun. I'll get up close to the gorillas. I'll give the tigers their lunch, and I'll water the elephants on really hot days. Or maybe I want to be, and it goes through being a pet groomer. So I really enjoy I Want to Be a Lion Tamer. They also have I Want to Be an Astronaut, so you might look at that. I love our picture books. The quality of them is amazing. The hard cushion covers. And the storyline within these books always has some type of character building or lesson at the end. And this one in particular is Snow White. My daughter is very into her fairy tales. We have Snow White, we have Cinderella. This is such a beautiful story as well. The illustrations within these picture books are just gorgeous. We have Goldilocks, we have Jack and the Beanstalk, we have Little Red Riding Hood, we have Anne of Green Gables. There are just tons of topics to pick out, but I can't say enough about the picture books. My daughter loves them, and I love the quality, and I love the storylines as well. Lastly, I cannot say enough about Nibbles, the Book Monster. I had never seen a book like this before, and my daughter enjoys it, and I give this away as gifts all the time at birthday parties and Christmas time, so I highly recommend Nibbles. Nibbles, the Book Monster, gets out of his little crate, and he eats his way through this entire story and several other familiar stories within the book. So you're going to go through Goldilocks, and it's just adorable. Little Red Riding Hood, Jack and the Beanstalk, until finally at the end you think you've got him caught, and oop, he escapes. My daughter thinks that this book is hilarious, and we read this all the time. So I hope that's given you kind of a good overview of some of the books that I would recommend for a 2.5-year-old and your older son as well. I'll tag you in some comments with some other recommendations for him. So have a great rest of your evening. I can't wait to see you Sunday night.